Welcome into this 3-round mock draft of the New England Patriots. The Patriots are turning over a new leaf again with new head coach Mike Vrabel, hoping to move in a different direction as it did not work out with Bill Belichick's replacement. Some of us were not shocked.
Shocker.
But they do look like they had their quarterback at the future Drake Maye, so now they're going to look at stabilizing him, providing protection, giving weapons, and hoping to help take him to the next level. And we can see some improvement for him and for the New England Patriots. Chase, so what are your thoughts here currently just on the state of the Patriots?
Yeah, I think Drake Maye is a baller. I was a big Drake Maye guy last year. I really think he's going to do good. Mike Vrabel's really good at getting the most out of the least amount of guys, right? Look at Tennessee now compared to where they were with Mike Vrabel. I mean, look at Ryan Tannehill. Like, that guy was washed out of the league. Vrabel took him to a 1 seed, right? So I think this is a good matchup. Do I think Vrabel and Drake Maye are in it for the long run? No. I think Vrabel can build it up a little bit, and they can hire someone else to come in. I don't know if Vrabel's the final solution, but yeah, I think he's good right now. So I'm excited that they're committing to this rebuild, and they're doing it with someone who's already done a rebuild. Like Vrabel did it. So
yeah, I love the Vrabel as the head coach. That was definitely one of the head scratching things that we saw whenever the Titans fired him, because you looked at it like, man, they're actually winning a lot of these games because of Vrabel. Like, you do realize that, right? And they didn't, and obviously they got the number 1 pick overall to show for it. But maybe overall, maybe that was their plan. They said, we're never going to get the number 1 pick with Vrabel. We really have to, so maybe you're playing the long game, right?
Yeah.
But Vrabel's in here with the Patriots. I think it's a great fit. Coming back to where he played, and just good stuff all around. So I like it a lot. But before we get into the actual draft itself, Chase, why don't you take us through the key additions and key departures so far for the Patriots in free agency?
Yeah, I'll go through the key departures first because it's not really key departures, right? There is 3 decent names, right? Devin Godchak got traded, the interior defensive lineman, to the New Orleans Saints. They also released their longtime center, David Andrews, and most recently, we even talked about, they traded backup quarterback Joe Milton III, right, to the Cowboys. So those are the key departures from the team, right? None of them making a huge splash because, as Jabril Peppers puts it, their ass. So, they didn't have a lot of players to lose. But their key additions, they did do some free agent hunting here. We talked about the biggest free addition, I think, is Mike Vrabel, right? And the ability to win games. Along with that, he brought Harold Landry, who had one of the worst pass rush win rates of all time last season. So hopefully he can turn that around on Vrabel. Then they also brought Milton Williams. They sold him from the Panthers, who were like so close to signing. And then they just said, hey, why don't you come over here? He did, I guess. They also brought Carlton Davis from the where was he at? The Lions, I think. He's a longtime Buccaneer, but he was at the Lions. Signed Garrett Bradbury, a former first overall pick. And then the big kind of flashy signing is Stephon Diggs. Is heading over from Buffalo to Houston, now in New England, right? Can't stay away from that blue and red. So he's going to be wearing those Patriot colors, helping out Drake Maye.
Yeah. So a lot of additions there. Something that the Patriots really, who have had a lot of money to spend, really haven't really gone out and spent it. So, safeguarding that maybe for a rainy day or whatever it is. But I'm excited to see what they do here in the draft here at pick number 4. So we will go ahead and get that set up here. Just as a reminder, this is just a 3-round mock draft with no trades. So we're stuck here at pick 4 and the rest of the rounds for the New England Patriots. So we'll go ahead and get started here. And we're up really quick here at just pick number 4. And going in here, this is going about really possibly could really go with Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Shedeur here. And I think overall, this is probably really excellent if you're the Patriots, because you can have really your pick. I mean, Mike Vrabel is a defensive guy. It's like, man, Abdul Carter all of a sudden is here. Like, do you do Abdul Carter to get on that defense? Or do you address some other needs like offensive line or receiver, right? Drake Maye doesn't have any protection, and he doesn't have any weapons. So it doesn't matter how good your defense is when you don't have anybody to protect or throw the ball to. So I think really this kind of gets into a question kind of similar where I kind of put it in this similar. I think offensive line and receiver here are the choice at pick number 4, clearly the choice. And then you have the opportunity or the same dilemma that the Cincinnati Bengals had. Where did they go receiver and draft Chase, or did they go offensive line and get Penei Sewell, right? They obviously decided to go Chase. Has it worked out for him? I'm not gonna say it hasn't worked out for him. I mean, they've been successful. They've went to a Super Bowl, so I'm like, that's there. But still haven't really got the offensive line figured out necessarily, and now their defense is a mess. So there's a whole lot of other things going on. But I still think this is kind of the same dilemma that the Patriots are going to have. Do we want to have the number one receiver off the board, or do we want to have the number one offensive lineman off the board? I think definitely the pick here. I know it can be tempting to go wide receiver because it's big flashy, but I think definitely the pick, the smart decision, is to go offensive line. You get your number one offensive line, whoever that is, and you lock him down here. Protect Drake Maye, because if he's on his butt, doesn't matter who is catching the ball, he's not going to be able to throw it to him.
Yeah, it kind of they kind of forget about the other part of that Patriots dilemma, right? The Jamar Chase went with there. Who, what, penny so well? The Lions, who have been dominating with that offensive line and is in a better situation right now than the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think this is a no brainer. I also, like we just talked about, if you haven't seen our podcast, we wrapped up our position views. We talked about the offensive line, and there's almost no value later in these drafts of offensive line. Right, it's a very top heavy class. So I think you have your pick at number 4 here of which guy you want to go with. I think that should be the move. And I mean, it's been every mock draft I've ever done. It's been Will Campbell to the New England Patriots, and I'm going to stick with that. If you agree.
I agree 100%. Will Campbell. And obviously, for the Patriots, whoever their number one tackle is, they'll take here. But for us, both of us have him as our number one tackle in our ranking. So we got to draft our number one guy over here. This is a perfect setup to start this draft here for the Patriots. We'll lock in our offensive tackle there for the future, give Drake Maye protection. And now here, as far as it goes with rounds 2 or 3, we can look at adding some receiver because this is a very deep wide receiver class. So there's going to be plenty of options for us here in the second round to add some great receiver weapons with something that they just do not have. They've missed a lot, right? They've got Stephon Diggs in here, but now they've got to need some help because he's old, he's aging, he's just coming off of an Achilles tear, or not Achilles, ACL tear, or was it?
Yeah,
one of those injuries to where he's
one of them.
He's not going to be at 100% anymore, even if he's at 100%, right? It's realistically like 80%, 75%, which is still good. Stephon Diggs is still a great player, a veteran option, a wonderful option for your young quarterback, Drake Maye. But we've got to get younger at the position for sure if we want to continue this success. So I think wide receiver here in round 2, I think is the no-brainer pick, right? The two biggest needs are obviously offensive line and wide receiver. We address offensive line first. Now let's get a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and I think your two weapons are staring you right there. We have the chance to go Jaden Higgins, who we absolutely love, right? And then also we haven't really had a chance to even talk about this wide receiver much, but Elik Ayomanor, he's my number 5 wide receiver. I think he is an amazing athlete, right? He was a track star, got recruited to Stanford to play track, right? Imagine like a Christian Watson that actually high points footballs. Like that's what this guy could be. Right. If you're unfamiliar with him and you want to watch his best game, go put on that 2023 Colorado game where he just dominated Travis Hunter.
Watch him torch him repeatedly.
Yes. So I'm higher on Jaden Higgins because I think he's a better player. But I mean, Jaden Higgins, like here's the situation. If you want to just compete right away and just be good, competitive and not shorten your rebuild, I think Ayomanor's the better pick because I think Ayomanor fits your team right now better than Higgins does. If you want to do it the right way, the slower way, right? I think Higgins can learn a lot from Stephon Diggs, who is also a route technician in his own right? That's how Higgins kind of runs his football. So it's up to kind of your speed. If you want to be try to be not playoff level, but like mid-round picks, just slowly moving up this draft right away, it's Ayomanor, right? He would complement his deep ball threats with Stephon Diggs' short intermediate routes. That would be a very dynamic passing game that unlocks for Drake Maye now that he has protection with that upgraded offensive line, Will Campbell. So I'm good with either one of them. I think Jaden Higgins is my number 3 wide receiver. Ayomanor is my number 5. But I'm good with either one. But I think that's the dilemma here.
Yeah, I agree. And you can kind of pick and take who you want. I'm fine with going Ayomanor here. I think it's kind of more like a Patriots-y pick 2 is Ayomanor, and I think he just gives you, I don't want to say more options, but I think with Ayomanor here, it's going to be able to give Drake Maye like a nice deep threat option. to be able to go ahead and go and get those long balls that Drake Maye can do. We know Drake Maye has the arm and he can do it. So I like that. I think Jaden Higgins is probably more polished overall, but I think right now you've got Stephon Diggs to a 3-year deal. I think that satisfies that type of role that Stephon Diggs has. So I think going long term, comparing and balancing your offense, having a nice balanced attack, I think Amenor would probably be the better pick. Even though I agree with you, I do like Jaden Higgins more. But I think scheme wise, fit wise, depth chart wise, I think Amenor would probably be the better pick here for the Patriots.
Yeah, I agree. I do like that fit with Drake Maye and Elick there. So I'm all for it.
Perfect. Let's do it. Alrighty, and then now we're back up again here at pick number 69. Really early here in round 3. Got a couple third round here. So, Jackson Dart, look at that, made it to the Browns. We had mocked into the Browns with just one round earlier. All right, so now we're back here on the clock. We've obviously addressed offense, which is the biggest need, right? Tackle, wide receiver. And now we can take a look at some other different things. Obviously, running back is still another position need. They only have Ramondre Stevenson. And they have Antonio Gibson and Terrell Jennings as well. But as far as that goes, they only really have Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson, he looked like he was going to be really good, like a really nice player a couple years ago. And you thought, man, okay, Ramondre Stevenson out of Oklahoma, but all right, I see you. And then he kind of busted out and I don't say bust, but he kind of fell out and started not playing very well. He kind of had that 1 year who was kind of stand out, and he hasn't lived up to that. So depending on what running back is like here, obviously this is a loaded running back class. Yeah, I mean we got some really good options here. RJ Harvey is a fantastic option here early in round 3. You can also take a look more at the defensive side of the ball if you want to do in the back end. Kevin Winston Jr. is here. Benjamin Morrison is here. Those could be really good steals here early in round 3 as well.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of my draft crush from a couple years ago with Christian Gonzalez paired up with someone like Benjamin Morris, or maybe if Darren Porter's still there, that's a very Patriots-y pick, a very big wide cornerback that can lock down man corner. I think getting another cornerback here would solidify this DB backs. Christian Gonzalez is already holding it down by his own, but he really, like, besides who they just brought in, Carlton Davis, his other white cornerbacks, Alex Austin, Miles Battle, Isaiah Bolden, these aren't DJ James, like those guys aren't doing it. So I think cornerback would be, with how, we have another pick in the 3rd round, how deep this running back class is. I think cornerback would be worth taking a look at.
I like that. I like that a lot. We can also take a look if we're trying to get our offensive line is better as well, see where we're at offensively as well.
That's true.
On the offensive line. Because really outside, the whole offensive line is a mess.
Yeah.
As well. So let me just take a look here, July. So Tate Ratledge is still there. That could be a guy that we might be able to get. Oh no, he's a top guard coming up. Could be good. We don't need another tackle. We've got that. So yeah. So maybe it might even be maybe we might be able to grab him and pick number 77 because we don't have too far to go. But I wouldn't be shocked if there's more offensive line added here. But I like Benjamin Morrison here right now. I think that could be a good pick. Sure up that back end. Just add depth here, especially because we have injuries, right? Like I said, like Christian Gonzalez, a great injury. Or you're taking a look at their depth chart right now. Their entire secondary has a red Q next to it. They're all questionable. I know it's the offseason and things like that, but basically I just feel like they went into the offseason banged up, injured. So it's never a bad thing to have depth in your secondary. And Benjamin Morrison here early in round 3, I think is solid. Is a solid deal. So I like adding that depth here with a guy like Benjamin.
Yeah, love it.
And the last pick here. Yeah. So now we can take a look. Obviously, we didn't lose in all of our players this year. So any running back we want, we didn't miss out on any running back. If we still wanted to go into your line with Tate Ratledge, I think could be a pick here. I think that's probably more important than a running back is shoring up the offensive line. So I think for me, I think Tate Ratledge was probably the pick here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of this offensive line now. You would have Will Campbell on one side, Moses Malone on the other, Cole Strange, Garrett Bradbury, and then you had Tate Ratledge. That would be that. Yeah, that's a completely flipped offensive line from what you had just a year ago, where Drake Maye was just clobbered. I don't mind that at all, especially you're getting one of the top end guys, right? Of course, Tyler Booker's probably the top end guy. Tate Ravlich is right behind him, so I'm fine with it. I think this is a good spot to take a guard, right? Your second, third round pick. I don't think we're stretching it all on a position, on a positional need here. So yeah, I'm fine with this.
Let's do it. And that'll wrap it up. So we'll go ahead and finish out here, and we'll take a look here at our draft. All right, here we go. Boom. Talk about a solid draft here for the Patriots. I mean, all A's throughout the board. A plus, A minus, or a top 16% of Patriots drafts. Man, I like this draft a lot, man. Obviously, a little bit of everything here. Focusing on offense, which is the biggest need. Obviously, we get our number one tackle in Will Campbell. We get a stud wide receiver in A. Moore. And then right there in round 3, we get a solid interior lineman there for Tate Ravlich. We're really this is what smart teams do is they take a position of need and then just go after it, hammer it hardcore in the offseason and through the draft, right? It's what they need. They need to get better offensively. What do we do here? We've got better offensively. Got good pushes, people on the offensive line, grabbed a nice weapon, and then add some secondary depth there early in round 3. I think this is a perfect. I think any Patriots fan would chop off their left pinky toe to have a draft like this for them trying to get back to prominence.
Yeah, and this is also, you talk about smart teams. This is what smart teams do is they attack positions that need with at the right times, right? Wide receiver is a position in need. We could have got Tech McMillan, right? He is by far the number one guy. We would have lost out on Will Campbell. We wouldn't have need for Alec Andermanner, so that him falling to us right there in the second round would have been a wasteful thing, right? That would have forced us to go maybe a lesser tackle right there, right? I mean, with Ben Morrison, I'm sure that we would have lost Ben Morrison. I think Ben Morrison's probably one of the top man cornerbacks, right? Match that up with Christian Gonzalez, who is one of the top man cornerbacks in the whole NFL right now. Like, you've got a deadly man, press coverage right there raining down on them. Like, this is, this might be my favorite individual mock we've done this year.
Yeah, this is pretty solid. I mean, the board fell really nice to us. And we got everything that we needed right here. But yeah, I think for me, it's just really just taking a look at holistically, like, what is the area of need, and then just going after it, right? And it's not always necessarily have to go after it in free agency, because I think a lot of time in free agency, when you're a team like the Patriots, it's more of like a Band-Aid or duct tape, if you will, than actually fixing the issue. Right, so that's why we still have to add depth, add players for the future through the draft. Right, we need to draft, develop, pay. That's what successful teams do. Is that model? And I think with here we've got a lot of guys that we can do that here. The benefit of having a top 5 pick right now, especially when you need other positions outside of wide receiver, is you can pick your top tackle, you can pick your top quarterback, you can pick your top edge player, and then early in round 2. There's a lot of guys in there that we have first round grades on. So technically, yes, you're picking them in the second round, but they're a first round grade for you. So you're getting 2 first round talents in the first 2 drafts, like, legitimately. And so that's how I feel with Will Campbell and Alec Andermanner. Like, we got 2 first round talents, first round grades in there in rounds 1 and 2. So that's phenomenal. And that's just the depth of the wide receiver class, right? There's going to be a lot of players that just, because not all wide receivers are going to go in the first round, because it's not the biggest need, but they're going to have a lot of players go early round 2. I think it's just going to be that wide receiver run. Just go boom, 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 boom. All those guys that got passed up on in round 1 just because more position of need were taken, they're going to fly off the board. So get your wide receiver in fast, boys, because that round 2 early is going to start the run.
Yeah. Little off topic, but round 2 is going to be that early round 2 is going to be running backs and wide receivers flying like crazy.
Yep.
That's going to be like the talk of the draft. How fun that round 2 is going to be.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, Patriots fans and everybody else, definitely let us know in the comments how we did. Is this the start to turn the Patriots around, to revert back to how they were? as one of the best dynasties ever in the NFL. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you like it. Check out our other mock drafts, and we'll catch you next time here on All Things Football.